All right, everybody, as promised, we've got the man himself with us right now. Bill O'Reilly, 18 number one best-selling books in the Killing series. The latest is Killing the Witches, the Horror of Salem, Massachusetts. I have it here in my bookshelf. It's excellent. Go to BillO'Reilly.com for the No Spin News. Bill, great to have you back. You want to give us, we got too much to talk to you about today and not enough time. Let's jump into Monday real quick. What are your expectations, and how do you think the Iowa caucuses play out based on what we're seeing?
Well, I was listening to the last half hour of your show, and you were talking about the perception of Trump and Biden in the election. That doesn't have much to do in Iowa. So the MAGA people are in charge of the caucus there, and there can't be any cheating because everybody goes in person. They wander around and they cast a ballot that you can see them drop the ballot in. So, and the MAGA people will rally to Trump because there isn't a reason to defect at this point. So then the media then says, okay, we're rooting for Nikki Haley, which the corporate media is, and we want her to at least get 30% out of this. I don't think she's going to hit that mark in Iowa. She has not been campaigning there very much. DeSantis put everything in there, spent a lot of money. He's not going to do well, and then he'll have to drop out on Tuesday. So, say goodbye to Ron. And then Trump, he wins it, but he doesn't gain very much because everybody expected him to win it. And then New Hampshire on the 23rd of January, that's a whole different story because there's a lot of big money going in there to convince left-leaning Democrats who register as independents to vote for Haley. That's what the corporate media and the Democratic Party want. They want Haley to show very well in New Hampshire so that the media has 2 full weeks before South Carolina to just pound Trump into pudding as a loser. And that's the overarch on the initial voting.
So does it matter? Because we've been talking on this show for a while about, it's going to be man versus man or man versus woman, right? A one-on-one battle. So let's say it's Ron DeSantis one-on-one. Let's say it's Nikki Haley one-on-one. Can either one of them beat Trump? Or in your mind, is the Republican nomination even before people vote Monday on Iowa based on what you're seeing basically done and Trump's the guy?
Yeah, I think it is. But because he's Donald Trump, no one knows what's going to happen on Monday. Not Monday Iowa caucus, but just Monday generic. Anything could happen at any time. It's like a pioneer in a covered wagon going across Wyoming in 1850. You better watch all around. Anything could happen. So at this point, the election were held tomorrow, and Republicans would vote for Trump because they want an avenger. The MAGA people and conservative Republicans not only want a Republican president, they want somebody to go in there and dissemble the progressive movement. And neither Haley or DeSantis has come across as someone who would do that. I watched the Haley DeSantis debate on CNN. I almost fell asleep.
We switched off of it, both of us. Yeah.
But they just, what do you're not, I don't see any passion. I don't see any point of view that is different than what I've heard 5 million times. And in order to be a guy like Trump, who's so flamboyant and so out there, you gotta bring it. And none of the Republican candidates come close to him in the ability to get attention and rile people up.
We're speaking to Bill O'Reilly. Go to the BillO'Reilly.com site for the No Spin News. And Bill, we've spent a little bit of time today talking about the various legal stratagems that Democrats are deploying against Donald Trump. It seems like some of these are, starting to all look like one big dumpster fire. Do you think that they've is that your sense? I mean, have they miscalculated? Is it falling apart? How do you view this?
Well, the civil suit in New York is just absurd. And I think that'll go into the federal court system. The fix is in. It shouldn't be brought in the first place. There's no victim. You've heard it all. But keep your eye on this Atlanta, Georgia, Fulton County situation with Fani Willis. Remember the Bee Gees song, Fanny, Be Tender with My Love? I love that song. And every time I see Fanny, I start to hum it. Now, Fanny is prosecuting Trump and a few of his acolytes for interfering with the Georgia vote. But Fani apparently hires a prosecutor with whom she's having an affair and pays him up to $1 million in salary and expenses. And as part of that, the guy goes to the White House twice. Pretty big story. Is the White House coordinating Fani's prosecution of Trump and the others? What's the guy doing
We think
in the
so.
White House?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
he billed Fani and Fulton County for the visits, this guy. I mean, this is a huge story, but you'll never see it on the corporate media. Fox covered it a little, but I don't think Fox understands how big the story is because this is prosecutorial misconduct.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just spent 20 or 30 minutes hammering home why I think this is so important. And I said, look, at a minimum, this is the benefit of having people in the state of Georgia. We know we're not going to get the Department of Justice, to be honest. But, Bill, don't you think that Brian Kemp or someone in the upper echelons of the Georgia state power should be investigating this investigation?
He has to.
Yeah.
Kemp has to order the Attorney General to investigate prosecutorial misconduct on the part of Fani Willis, period. And even if he doesn't, again, this will go to federal court, even though it's a state beef. It'll get thrown out. The whole thing is going to get thrown out. I predict it right now on the Clay and Buck show.
Bill, we get all these people that are giving different interpretations of what the polls right now really mean for Trump being so far ahead of Biden. We get people calling in here that are saying, oh, this is all meant to depress turnout, or, oh, this is all some kind of a psyop. How do you see it? Is this just the reality that Biden is so weak that Trump is far out ahead and Democrats are panicking? How do you assess that?
Well, it's an emotional time in America, and almost every week we see the progressive left doing heinous things. I mean, Gaza and Hamas, all of that. And Joe Biden is the progressive left president, the most radical left president in the history of this republic by far. There's nobody even a close second to Biden. And so the people are emotional now, and they don't like this progressive movement. They may not like Trump, but if Trump is the only alternative to Biden, 4 more years of that, then they're going to go with Trump. Not all of them, but a big segment of the independents, and that's what you're seeing. But, those polls, they can switch back pretty fast. Now, you were talking about Hunter Biden. Here's the importance of Hunter Biden. So Hunter Biden is embarrassing his father. Now, Joe Biden might not even know that because he's not real cognizant these days. But he's embarrassing his father. I said on the No Spin News, if Teddy Roosevelt's sons had done what Hunter Biden's doing, Teddy would have thrown him in Oyster Bay. They just kicked him right out of the house. So what Joe Biden as a father and the president of the United States should do is today say, Hunter, you pay all the back taxes they say you owe. Pay them right now. Have your Hollywood guy who's funding all your bills write the check today. Right? Instead, we hear, oh, I'm proud of my son. What exactly are you proud of? That he tried to kick drugs? Okay, but that's not the issue here. The issue is that the man is charged with 9 felonies in California, federal beefs. And are you proud of that? You don't hear a word. And the media, of course, slides over it. So the reason that Hunter Biden wouldn't go and sit for the deposition for the Oversight Committee in the House is because you don't have a time limit on that. And if in public you have 5-minute increments where you can filibuster. You can filibuster. You don't have to answer anything. You can filibuster all day long. But in a deposition,
and they alternate where you're getting Democrats talking about what a great son you are.
It doesn't matter who it is. In 5 minutes, you're not going to get anything from a guy who wants to obfuscate the issue. But in a deposition, you got to sit there under oath and answer very telling questions. And the big question is, how much money did your father derive from this? What did you give him in loans? What did you give him in payback? Well, that's never going to happen in a public. That's what this is all about. It's another con, another grift. So, I'll answer questions in public, but I'm not going to answer questions in private. What? And again, if you're the president and he's your son, you go sit for the deposition. That's what you tell him to do. Now,
Which Donald Trump Jr. did 5 times. And leading into that, by the way, Bill, I want to get this last question for you before we have to go to break. You and me are on the side of truth, justice, and 100% accuracy, but of course, the opposite of that. You and I, Bill, believe that that the Joe Biden train is eventually coming off the tracks. So I'm curious, as you look at the scene right now, obviously the polls look good for Trump. We got the first votes of 2024 coming Monday. How do the Democrats maneuver to get Biden off the ballot? To you, as now voting has started, what do the next few months look like, and where are we headed?
Well, it's easy. So Michelle Obama on Monday shows up on the Jay Shetty podcast. Did you guys talk about that?
Oh, yeah. I did.
Oh, Clay was very excited, Bill. Very excited.
Jay Shetty. Not Clay and Buck, not Bill O'Reilly, Jay Shetty. 1 hour, 5 minutes. The guy's a former monk. I guess they had wind chimes and incense. I guess they had all that. Okay. Why? Doesn't have a book to sell. Hasn't dined with Oprah lately that I know of. And have an album out. Why is she doing that? Michelle Obama and her husband Barack Obama do nothing spontaneously. Ever. There's a reason why she did it. And that reason is to send a signal to the Democratic Party, I'm here. So, Joe Biden easily could, no matter how many delegates he has, could say in July, 2 weeks before the Democratic convention in Chicago, I can't do it for medical reasons. I'm resigning, and I'm turning my delegates over to Mrs. Obama.
I'm with you.
I'm just telling you two right now, we're going to replay this in like July or August, and we're going to be taking photos of me eating the most delicious Kobe beef imaginable, and Bill and Clay.
I'm not predicting that will happen. I'm just saying it's easy for it to happen.
Okay. All right.
That everyone is aware of. And this is another story everybody's overlooked. Gavin Newsom took himself off the board as a legitimate presidential candidate for his party when he announced that he's paying all the health benefits to undocumented people.
Illegals, yeah.
That was it. That was all. It's over. You cannot win with that on your resume.
We're going to see. Clay, we're going to replay this. So Bill is saying it's very possible. You are saying, Clay, it's going to happen. I'm saying hell will freeze over before this happens. So there we
my
go.
Theory is that the polls could change, right?
We know. You think, Michelle, it's good, but I'm telling.
But if the polls don't change, it's going to be Michelle.
All right, Bill. Everyone should go to BillO'Reilly.com. No spin news available there. The Killing the Witches book in the Killing series is phenomenal. Go pick up a copy. Bill, let's have you come back after some votes are cast. You can analyze it for us. All right?
Sure, guys. Thanks very much for having me.
Have a good weekend.